Coming up on Tekzilla, catching Google's wave, a festival of headphones from $25 to $1,400 smackers. Overclocked Core i7 without melting down. Is Mikey the best iPod microphone attachment ever made? Get that chili cheese dog away from your keyboard before bad things happen. Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by Prototype, the new sandbox-style action game releasing June 9th, Squarespace, and GoDaddy.com. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you already own.
Yes, whether you're a beginner or tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about destroying a hard drive, getting chili cheese dog slime out of your keyboard, pocket HD cameras, or whether or not the Koji Korean barbecue truck will drop by E3, we've got an answer for you.
And if we don't, we'll track down someone who does. Bunch of big announcements last week.
Yes.
Microsoft's Bing search engine, Google's Wave being announced at Google I/O. Okay, one of those two was a big announcement, and the other one just sort of dribbled out.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little more excited about the Wave.
I can't imagine why.
Get on the Wave.
Oh my goodness.
Doing the Wave.
What is Google's
Totally missed that.
Wave? Oh, sorry.
No, I was doing something else. Don't worry about it. In case you haven't seen the hour-long presentation that Google put up on their on the website after Google I/O, it's at its core, it's a web tool. I mean, it lives inside your browser. That's one thing. They kept reminding everyone.
So it's a Twitter
keep in
competitor.
mind that this is in your browser. Well, actually, there's a lot of funny stories behind that because you know how Twitter and Google were rumored to be in talks about Google buying Twitter. Well, there's a reason that maybe that didn't happen, and that's because there's going to be a lot of, I guess I want to call it live streaming stuff going on in Google Wave, but it's more like updating your friends and family on what's going on, but more like text and pictures and video,
So it's
maps.
like real-time collaboration for a select group of people using a Google tool / Gmail / whatever their
If you're already part of the Google network in terms of using Gmail and all that other crap, all that's going to be integrated into this tool. And they haven't even gotten to the real.
Indexed your life, people.
It's still so early in development that they haven't really shown us all the features and everything that it can do. But say, for example, you want to plan some kind of event. You go on there, you post a message up, you invite some of your contacts in. They can go in and real time edit the content that's going into this wave, which is like a thread of activity, basically. If you're familiar with FriendFeed, which is actually some ex-Google employees as well,
dun, dun,
you
dun.
can kind of see where this kind of thing is going. So yeah, collaboration tool, businesses can use it, friends can use it, and like I said, there's going to be all that integration with all the other Google tools as well.
So just in time for Web 2.5, Google's got a big Web 2.0 tool.
Well, their big deal is saying that email and IM are so like 5 years ago. Like they replaced the phone calls and snail mail. And this is going to be the next thing. They want this to be their next thing. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not even going to ask how they're going to monetize it. We'll just wait. If you haven't seen it, the Google video is the best way to see it. If you work for Google, you probably have access to it. If not, you can sign up for the beta. We got the URL in the show notes for you, and you're going to be waiting around until they open up the beta. They are in very, very early stages of development.
Very early stages. And developers are super excited about it too, because it's like this whole big open source project, and also the API situation is going to be really cool. People are going to mash it up with all sorts of different stuff.
We can track where everybody's waving from in real time across a map and synchronize third-party photos, but only from, it's going to be completely bizarre.
All that good stuff.
On a side note, there were a bunch of Firefly references in the presentation. So yes, Josh Whedon has influenced Google, at least in terms of naming emerging products. So if you're into Firefly or Serenity, awesome. If not, just go rent them.
I knew there were a bunch of dorks over there at Google, but that just cements it in an awesome way.
We're never going to get to go to their cafe if you keep calling them dorks.
Yeah.
Well,
anyhow.
Take us to lunch.
Well, our first question of the day comes from a Twitter you actually got over this past weekend about headphones.
Yeah, there were like 13 of them. There was a minor dog pile of tweets asking for a Sennheiser HD800 review. And the reason I got the dog pile of tweets is because a bunch of people knew I was going to CanJam. These headphones, I should say these headphones, you may have seen me fondling them at CES. CanJam is the annual gathering of headphone enthusiasts put together by headfi.org. And there were opportunities opportunities to finally listen to the HD800s along with a ton of other brands of like in-ear monitors, cans, digital to analog converters, aka DACs, headphone amps, just a ton of stuff.
Why didn't you invite me?
I did.
You did
You didn't want to travel to LA. It's on videotape.
Really?
Yes.
Awkward.
It may not have made it into the show, but we have it on the video server. It's a bunch of people who love listening through headphones, right? I got to meet Till from Headroom.com, the founder. It was just amazing, actually. It was not, though, an optimal listening environment. Partially because in some cases you only had a few minutes to listen because somebody was like staring at the back of your head waiting for their turn, or mostly because there were people talking very enthusiastically in a small room. And if you have like open back headphones, you would run into situations where you would hear somebody's conversations. For example, I'd like to talk about some of Monster's marketing opportunities because they were shouting about them right next to my head in somebody else's listening room. Classy, guys. Sorry.
At least it kept him busy.
It was actually kind of amazing. I heard surround sound processors from Biodynamic and Smith Research, or Smythe or Smith. They're Irish.
Smith,
Amazing
right?
stuff, especially since they were coming over a set of stacks, electrostatics. They were out of control. Innovative product realization, aka Matt, I hope I got that name right, Matt, was working on an excellent digital out adapter and DAC, right? So basically it would take sound from the iPod, pull it over digitally over an iPod connector, and either run it out to an external DAC or to a headphone amplifier, but basically allow you to use an outboard DAC. So you can basically store your lossless audio files on an iPod, but still get the best possible conversion from the digital format to the analog format. Benchmark was there with listening, lots and lots of Headroom amps. They actually had multiple pairs of HD800s for people to listen to, which was really nice. They had like 3 or 4 pair of them in there. The HD800s, everybody asked for a review. It was not the best listening environment. Hi, Monster. But nothing bitter.
You're awful. They're going to sue us just for saying their name in the show now.
You know what? I bought an actual dryer plug from Monster because it was the only example of this particular dryer plug I could find. I finally found it in a Fry's. I have a gold-plated dryer plug for my welder. Long story.
Gold-plated dryer plug.
I kid you not. It cost me like $45. Thanks, Monster. But it was like the only one I could find. In any case, the HD800s should sound spectacular. They're like carved out of aluminum by gnomes who thought BMW's quality production standards weren't high enough. They're made in Bavarian forests. And I'm kidding. They're $1,400 headphones. They sound amazing, especially when you're listening through them from about $8,000 worth of, it was great. It was like a Krell MD1 that was the transport for the CD, outboard to an ultimate DAC from Headroom into an ultimate amp from Headroom, bi-amped. Right? Separate left and right channels going into the head, not a single cable, 2 cables running into these headphones. Yeah, it sounded amazing. It was tough though, because people were talking. I didn't have the songs I wanted to listen to through them, but phenomenal, open, airy, detailed. The low end was unbelievably tight and detailed.
Maybe they want to send us a review copy, review unit. Maybe.
We'll ask nicely.
A review unit, so we can
listen.
Squee!
Yeah. Well, we got some other toys coming in we'll talk about later. I would love to test this against my pick of the show, probably GH Audio's GH13 Pro. They're in-ear custom mold. They require a custom mold. They're custom made for each individual buyer. From Jerry Harvey. He's the guy who basically, he was the driving force behind Ultimate Ears, at least until he left. He also was involved in some of Shure's best product designs for in-ear monitors. He also basically ran the boards for Van Halen forever.
That is sick. That is so awesome.
He
knows his sound. That's great.
He knows his sound. I think it's like Steven Tyler has 1 pair of these HD13s in the field, and then he had like 3 sets of demo headphones. He was basically individually wrapping earplugs onto so people could try them without getting diseases.
That is the sex.
They sounded obscene. I mean, the HD100 sounded obscene too, but they were very nice. Anyhow, not to get all geeked out on the high end, I got a Twitter from Audio Burr who tweeted, Patrick, please include stuff normal people can actually afford.
Speaking of which.
I like those Sennheisers you mentioned earlier, but ... Okay, so cheap headphone recos. I love me some used audio. Look around, especially if they're available locally. If you're in Craigslist in New York or the Bay Area, obviously you've got a better shot, but you'd be surprised what you can find used, especially if there's a good audiophile gear store near you. Now, that said, Best under 100 bucks for me. 70 bucks buys you a pair of Grado SR60s. They are worth every penny. They are bar none. You know, they're open eared, so they're not great for using in the office, but they sound amazing for the money, especially if you're into jazz or rock or anything with a kick drum. A lot of folks love the Denon AHC452K earbuds. They come in at 60 bucks. People love those things. For under 40 bucks, the Cost Porta Pro looks awful, but you can fold it up so it doesn't disintegrate inside your backpack. And the Sennheiser PX100 and HD202 are great sub $40 headphones. Sennheiser's MX560 earbuds, good sound, probably like 25 bucks on the street.
Personally, I really like the V-Moda bass frequency line. Like, they're really cute, I know.
They come in like 7 different colors.
That's kind of like the girly part of me that likes them, but they sound really good too. And they're under 40.
That's a good price.
So that's a good price.
And they're built like the proverbial brick outhouse. They look like they're carved out of aluminum.
They're earbuds, which I prefer.
At the super low end, borrow your older brother's or your father's or your mother's headphones. Cost KC25s if you order online are like 20 bucks. 30 bucks at Target. Cost UR20 is another one that people mention. Look, if you have some headphone questions, if you're wondering what the point of a DAC, an outboard DAC, it's basically you take digital audio from your computer or another source and convert it into analog, or headphone amps, why people use them, if they're worth buying, how much do they cost, where do you start, ask us. We'll talk about it more on the show because we love an excuse to talk about headphones.
We do. They're a personal favorite of ours,
yes.
I think.
We like the musics.
We should just start our own podcast about headphones.
What are you going to be in, like 9 podcasts?
Oh wait, I already did that. It was MP3 Insider at CNET.
Still to
Never
come.
mind.
Is Blue's Mikey microphone the best iPod microphone ever to grace the market? Find out. But while we've got your attention,
let's thank one of today's sponsors, Squarespace. And here to tell you more about them is one of the masterminds behind Revision 3, David Prager.
Hey, it's David Prager. I want to tell you a little bit about our sponsor, Squarespace. If you haven't heard of Squarespace, Squarespace is basically someone who will host your website and help you design it. And when I say help you design it, that means that you can basically create anything you want WYSIWYG style. That means what you see is what you get. You can drag and drop anything you want. They have a whole list of features that you can use. And I really haven't seen anything that you can't do. Any kind of feature and capability that you want to try, Squarespace has a way to make it work and a way that you can drop it in, again, without any coding at all required. If you have a blog or something already, you'll be blown away with how fast you could actually recreate exactly what that design is in a matter of hours with Squarespace. So I recommend you go over there, give it a shot, check it out. If you go over to squarespace.com right now and you use the code TEKZ, that's again TEKZ, you'll get 10% off the entire lifetime that you use Squarespace. Check it out, highly recommended, squarespace.com.
welcome to this week's freebie download pick. A free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week, BB Flashback Express. Unless you're willing to fork over some serious cash for Camtasia, your choices for inexpensive and flexible screen capture software are pretty thin. Thankfully, there's BB Flashback Express. This lightweight version of Blueberry Software's Flashback supports a number of features usually found in pricey software. You can record a window, a region, or the entire screen, and it can even record from a webcam while it records from the screen. Flashback Express also supports audio recording either from a microphone or PC sound card during screen capture, so you can narrate what you're doing. When you're done, you can review recording frame by frame with a built-in movie player. You can export the finished file in Flash or AVI formats with full control over file size and quality. And with one-click upload to YouTube, Blip TV, Vidler, and Rever, you can quickly see your creation online. So if you're looking for a free and feature-rich screen capture utility, look no further than BB Flashback Express.
And so when I was like 13, I had this goat at the 4-H, and he was like totally my best friend, and I named him Billy Bob. And then one day they said he went to go live on a farm and that he was happy for the rest of his life, but I think we ate him for dinner.
They refer to him as upstate. He's living upstate now.
He's living upstate with a nice family.
Yeah, you ate goat stew. This is Blue Mikey. If you're sitting doing one-on-one interviews where it's like you and somebody else on a table in a relatively quiet environment, this is overkill. It's an $80 microphone, and what's interesting about it, it's got a nice set of stereo capsule microphones, or a pair of capsule microphones that allow you to record in stereo. If you're doing like simple interviews where you're not looking for super audio quality, get a $20 microphone. But this is actually really interesting if you're looking to do things like record in a big fat ugly lecture hall, or go to concerts and get your recording on. Because along with the capsule microphones, which are similar to what's offered in Blue's other fabulous microphone packages, they've got the ability for you to manually adjust through 3 ranges of gain on there to help you deal with the interview, concert, classroom volumes, and it's actually pretty slick. The microphone itself, design isn't perfect. It's got 180 degrees of range and 45-degree steps on there, which is nice. So you can do the classic, I'm recording in the concert pose, or you can, hold it up above your head, but
that's not obvious at all when you do that, by the way.
What it doesn't have that it desperately needs, along with a slightly tighter connector, because if you're not careful, you can just whip this thing right out of the connector. This is also a very early model, so what it really needs is a power pass-through so that you have the ability to put additional juice in there, and I gotta say, the chrome is really distracting. It might just be me.
No, but it looks like a real microphone.
It'll work with an iPhone or iTouch with a third-party application. Like I said before, we were using Fire. It costs like $5. It's easy to use. The sound quality is really good. If you like Blues microphones, a lot of people do, especially if you're dealing with one of their USB microphones like the Snowball. They're really, really nice. My really big complaint about this is the lack of stereo separation, because your microphones, your dual microphones, are like an inch apart. Stereo separation, your ears are like 8 or 9 inches apart, and usually if you're like watching the Tapers at the Dead Show with their crazy, their microphones are at least like a foot apart. If it's not like some crazy 3D neural binaural recording system that has 15 microphones.
Well, how do you recommend that they fix that? I mean, it's a tiny little device.
Well, it'd be cool if they would make it, yeah, well, it's maybe I want like the blue Mikey's little brother or big brother, where you could separate these and look, it's an 89.
No, I'm just asking.
I'm just saying, like, for stereo recording at concerts, right? A little more separation on the mics would be a huge improvement.
I agree with you.
In your experience on that. If you're dealing with, if you want to get your NPR on, like, recording out in nature, or if you just want something you can keep in your pocket and be able to do really good recordings, it's got a lot of potential. Really needs a power pass through.
That's the one big issue for me, probably, because I mean, even if you are recording a concert and you've got like 3 songs down, the battery life is going to start getting drained a little bit.
Well.
And a Mophie wouldn't help you in this situation because you can't get any power through there. Oh, fix it.
Fix it.
Fix the thing, and it would be better.
It's really, Blue though, they make nice microphones. If you're thinking about getting one, check them out, people.
Yeah, I love it. Personal favorite of mine. I might have to borrow that from you sometime. Yes, excellent. Well, coming up next, how to overclock your new Core i7 without overheating it. But first,
it's time to thank one of our sponsors, Prototype. It's Radical Entertainment's newest action game, releasing on June 9th. You play the prototype, Alex Mercer, as you wake up with no memory of the past, just mysterious powers and a link to a town in Idaho. A viral epidemic has turned Manhattan into a war zone, and it's up to you to navigate the streets with your unique disguising abilities, over-the-top locomotion and agility, and use your fast and deadly shape-shifting skills and advanced sensory powers to track your enemies and defend yourself. Delve into the mysteries of your origin, the true nature of your power, and your part in a conspiracy 40 years in the making. It all releases June 9th, and you can check it all out at prototypegame.com. Please support Tekzilla by supporting our sponsors, like Prototype.
looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, runp.com. Don't get too scared off by the name just yet. This is a quirky and extremely helpful website for movie lovers everywhere. So, you know when you're at a movie and suddenly that 20-ounce Coke starts working its magic on your bladder? How do you know when the best time to leave for your potty break is? Had you checked RunP before entering the theater, you'd know exactly when. The site is based off of user-generated submissions of the best times to take a potty break, which you can see in a helpful timeline on the page of the movie you're interested in. To avoid spoilers, the descriptions of the scenes, which are usually about a 3 to 5 minute lull in the action, are scrambled until you decide to read them. Or you can just listen for a particular line of dialogue that RunP will cue you to. Right now, the site is the full-time job of its creator. So if he saved you from missing important movie scenes because of your weak bladder, help support him with a small donation. And don't forget to visit runp.com before your next big summer blockbuster. With the slew of new Core i7-based machines now on the market and their relatively overclockable nature, many of you have been wondering about cooling, because the faster you mash down the pedal, the more heat you'll need to deal with. I'm getting a nice breeze off of here already, I can tell.
Yeah, it's a little out of control. In a previous show, we talked a little bit about the Core i7 920's overclocking friendliness, its overclockability, and it's actually been pretty stable for me at 3.5 gigahertz. Haven't started pushing it too hard yet, but the temperatures go up really fast. Binned parts basically means different parts will heat up more or less even with the same model number. Basically like They get a chip, they put it on the thing, it goes at this particular speed, it's generating this much heat, that's okay for this part or this part or this part. Because basically it's all silicon in a wafer, they cut it and they decide how fast it runs stably. Idling at stock speed, 2.66 gigahertz, we're talking 44 degrees centigrade, or 44 degrees Celsius if you prefer, with the stock Intel cooler. It does a fine job with the stock processor, the stock cooler with the stock processor running at the stock speeds. Idling at an overclock speed of 3.5 gigahertz was 65 degrees centigrade. Okay, that's not too bad, till we maxed out the overclock CPU by running Prime 95 across all the cores, and my temperatures quickly shot up to basically 100 degrees centigrade, which is as high as you want to go. Here's the thing, right? Unlike AMD, Intel isn't being real open about the max temps for the Core i7 CPUs. The folks at Puget Systems, however, have done a nice job figuring them out. The max operating temperature is basically 100 degrees Celsius. That's when the CPU starts throttling back. What does that mean? It goes from like 3.5 gigahertz to like 2 gigahertz, or in that nature. The idea is it's going to turn down, it's going to take its foot off the accelerator so you don't hurt the processor.
It's taking safety precautions, basically.
Exactly. And it's pretty crazy, right? Puget recommends 80 degrees Celsius as a good maximum operating temperature because that'll give you some headroom for heavy loads on hot days. I upgraded my cooler this week to see if I could get the temperatures to drop down. And oh boy, did I.
Yeah?
Well, okay, so we got your classic Zalman here. It's on the 1366 processor mount. It's a ripping pain in the ass to set up. And it basically,
I'm going to touch it.
Touch it, go ahead. That's okay, you won't hurt yourself on that side. Ow! That
Ow,
side,
don't
that
do
hurts.
it! He did it!
She's been like trying to poke that thing all
It's like
day.
a shiny thing, like I just want to like, ah!
We'll get you a cooler you can put here. Play with that.
Play with the one that's not plugged in.
Exactly. If you haven't seen them, check out the Mad Shrimp charts of CPU cooler testing. They do this huge array from the loudest ones to the softest ones to the one that cool the best to the one that cool the worst. It allows you to actually look at the performance in a relatively real-world environment. The downside is that a lot of these are coolers you're never going to find in retail locally. It's not going to be able to, you're going to be searching around on obscure websites in like Taiwan to buy some of these. The thing is that with an aftermarket cooler like the Zalman, you can do incredible things. For example, I took my processor idling at the overclock speed from 65 degrees centigrade down to like 45 to 50 degrees centigrade.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
downright
a nice
chilly.
drop. Downright chilly. Does it matter that much? No, because I'm well below the temperature threshold of the processor. However, when I fired up Prime 95 with the stock cooler, it would max out, like all the cores would hit close to 100 degrees. And the processor would be throttled back to like 2 gigahertz, so it was getting a lot less work. With the upgrade to my cooling system, I was getting, like 97, 98, so that I wasn't too happy about, but it was running at 3.5 gigahertz at the time.
That's what you're looking for. That's the whole reason why you're overclocking.
I want all the performance without melting my processor. You can't really melt it down, right? It's basically modern processors, unlike the ones from my Ute, or at least my late middle adulthood, where you could actually fry a processor. They're basically designed to shut down before things go horribly wrong. In the case of the Core i7, it basically starts backing away from that max in the thermal envelope before you can do any damage. So you're not really going to melt your processor, but if you want to get the best performance out of an overclocked system, or if you just want to keep the temperatures down because you want to take it easy on your CPU over the long run, an aftermarket cooler can definitely make a big impact. Just be careful what you get. Oh, and by the way, the thermoconductive matter, the thermal grease, or the goop you put between your heatsink and your CPU, I actually got this to run 7 degrees cooler just by going from the really cruddy stuff that came in the box with this to a slightly better grade of thermoconductive grease. Next thing I'm going to do is throw some Arctic Silver on there and see if I can get the actual temperatures to drop down even more.
Wow.
And
That
actually
makes such a big difference.
It's interesting, and I'm actually thinking about checking out. Puget Systems has a water cooling, like an enclosed water cooling system. They say actually, unlike others, works really, really well for keeping it cool. So I want 80 degrees at 100% at 3.5 gigahertz.
Well, it does sound like a little bit of a 320 Airbus.
Yeah, well, part of that
Right
also
now.
is the glory of the Open Antec case, which I talked about last week. I'm putting this into a normal case, which will keep all of my noisy stuff elsewhere, and we'll have proper airflow.
I'm very curious to see what to you a normal case is.
It's very subtle. It's got
Sure.
tasteful rose inlay. Well, actually, part of what's frustrating about this is if you want to reach over here and touch the memory.
Nope.
No? It's okay. It's not that hot. What, you know, I don't have kitchen hands anymore.
Well, it's so close to the fan.
It's okay. You wanted to poke the fan
I know,
anyway.
but now I'm chickening out.
Feel the heat coming off of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice and cool, actually, right by the fan.
Yeah, but the fan's also sucking the warm air off of the memory, and there's work to be done here, people. In the meantime, while Veronica tries to hurt herself, we're going to come back from this brief commercial break with your viewer questions.
I'm easily amused.
GoDaddy.com. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names for as little as $1.99. World-class web hosting, fast and easy website builders, and quite a bit more. Your website visitors, prospects, and customers are wary of websites and online businesses that aren't what they claim to be. They're worried that their personal and financial information might fall into the wrong hands. You can turn your visitors' concerns into a competitive advantage with the ironclad protection of a GoDaddy.com secure certificate. Now, you can get that at a discount if you enter in code TEK4, that's TEK4 when you check out. You'll score an additional 15% off any order of $75 or more. Looking for something better, a deal that's more perfect for you? Check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for all the Tekzilla deals and code. Please, do us a favor, get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and use one of those TEK codes when you do. You'll be helping out Tekzilla and scoring a great deal from GoDaddy.com.
Now, as a member of the Web 2.0 blogging lifestyle, this next question is of particular interest to me. It's from Martin, and he writes, "Hello, Patrick and Veronica. Would you recommend a Sanyo ZACD CG65 for a beginner video blog?" Martin.
Sounds like somebody's got an excuse to buy a new video camera.
Yes, although Martin isn't actually in the US, so that's why he's looking at this particular Sanyo. Otherwise, I would recommend the Flip Mino HD because it's a lot cheaper than that particular camera, and you know it does pretty good video on a budget. But he doesn't get it where he lives.
Well, there are ways of getting around that. Maybe
That's
if you have
true.
a friend in the United States, or there's mail ordering service. One of the things though is the Sanyo ZACD is like a $400 to $500 HD camera. The Mino is like under $200.
$159, I believe.
$159 gives you excellent
$149.
It gives you excellent like HD video quality. Here's the thing though. Martin wants to do a video blog, and if it's a video blog like, look at the frame, we have a shot of a talking head with nothing moving in the background. Something like the Mino, a cheap camera, is perfect for that because you're going to have lighting in your house that's consistent, you're not going to be moving, the lighting's not going to change a lot, you don't need the ability to hold a camera particularly stably, which is really hard to do with a really tiny light camera, and the Sanyo ZACD is pretty tiny and light too. So, and if you're just going to punch it up to somewhere where it's going to get super compressed, don't spend a lot of money on a video camera unless you want to spend a lot of money on a video camera. It's not necessary to spend a lot of money on a video camera in a lot of cases.
I like the ZACDs a lot, though, in general.
Yes.
I mean, pre-flip cameras,
Right.
those were kind of the go-to video blogger camera of choice, for sure. Everyone had them. But now, I mean, the flips are really popular. We did a whole roundup of those little hand cams.
Yeah, I mean, there's
like the
like
flips.
pocket HD cameras.
Pocket HD cameras.
They're all around $200. The thing with something like the Sanyo, or going to an HV20 or an HV30, which is going to be about $1,000. Is the more money you spend, if you're compressing the snot out of it, especially for an SD delivery system, there's not a whole lot of point in spending a whole lot of money on a video camera unless you expect to be recompiling it and making it available in Blu-ray in the future because your podcast is going to be so huge. That said, yeah, the Sanyo ZACDs are really nice.
But then we've got all those pocket cams that we mentioned before. So the Flip Mino, the Creative Vado, the Sony Webby camera, no? He's like, no, forget those. But I'm just saying for availability really purposes, there's a lot of cameras like that.
I'm kind of, for me, it's like the Flip Mino because it does a really good job with the video and the audio. And the Kodak because it allows you to swap in batteries and allows you to swap in memory. Because the problem with these little pocket-sized video cameras, it's like if you see like the thing that you want to post on YouTube of, the guy throwing the giant roll of the Wonder, somebody like beating their child with Wonder Bread, and it's going to be like a 1-minute video. Something that's got the ability to record an hour is great for that. If you're going to be running around all day because you're reviewing, Disneyland, right? Or your kids are at Disneyland, it's going to suck if you're like, okay, do I erase the video of Bobby on the log flume, or do I erase the video of Bobby on the Ferris wheel, or you know what I mean? Because there's not much storage.
Okay, well, to be fair, he's doing a video blog, so he's probably going to be home most of the time if he's doing a diary-style video blog, which is what I'm assuming assuming, Martin. I'm not, I don't want to make too many assumptions about where you're going to be doing this. But he has to think about some of his needs, and if battery life isn't too high on that priority and memory isn't too high on that priority, one of the little pocket cams is probably going to do him just fine.
Absolutely. If you're,
Although, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Flip Mino has great battery life.
It does.
I haven't extend tested, is that even a word?
Done extensive testing.
Have done extensive time-wise testing of any of the other pocket cameras, but I have had the Flip Mino for a long time, and it lasts forever.
Right. If you're going to be doing a lot of stuff with, like, if you're recording, sports outside, environments where the lighting changes a lot from bright to dark to bright to dark, the pocket cameras aren't so hot. The Sanyo is a step up. Go into one of the Canon or Sony HD cameras might be a good thing at that point. But don't spend a ton of money when you're just starting out if you don't have to.
No.
Especially if you're recording in your house where the lights never change.
I mean, hell, if you already have a digital camera, I mean, most of them take video now anyway.
Wow.
So if he already has it's not exactly a low-end digital camera, but my Canon G7 takes pretty good video. We should move on. Alrighty, well, we here at Tekzilla try to ensure our data is as reliable as humanly possible. Of course, we all make mistakes, even for techno gods like us. So, some corrections to the TrueCrypt segment last week brought to us by our lovely viewers.
I'd like to point out I was also pointing at you because you're the techno god. I'm
well,
not the
also,
techno
I
god.
wasn't here. So,
in any
maybe
case,
it wouldn't have happened had I been here, I'm just saying.
TrueCrypt, me, Roger, Talking Encryption, and a bunch of folks emailed in. First off, we have Aaron who wanted us to know just a few comments on TrueCrypt. I've encrypted 2 whole laptop drives with it, and there is no noticeable performance hit. Also, Steve Gibson imaged his drive, then measured how long it took to defragment. Then he restored it back to that image, encrypted the drive, and then measured how long it took to defragment. It actually took less time to defragment the encrypted drive.
Wow.
Okay, Aaron, I'll run some benchmarks on a TrueCrypted drive that we've been playing around with versus that, and I'd like to see actual benchmarks rather than defragging, because I don't know if I think of defragging as being a normal usage pattern, but it is excellent to know, and if Steve says it's fast, it probably is. Gibson does his best to speak truth. Now, from the admin over at tcusers.com, or an anonymous person over at tcusers.com, we had this pissed off reply. Hidden volumes are definitely not security through obscurity, and the whole system is open for anyone to inspect. Note that TrueCrypt does not modify the file system information about free space, etc. within the outer volume in any way. This answers the point that I made about free space. Well, thanks to Aaron and the mysterious admin and to everybody else that emailed in. We will make a note of that one next time we're talking about TrueCrypt. We apologize, but we're glad that all of you agree that it's a bitchin' way to lock down a hard drive and keep people from getting nosy on your data.
Are we not human? Are we not fallible?
We're not allowed to be fallible.
Oh, crap, because we have a video show, huh?
Speaking of video, the DIY filmmaking revolution is here, people, and Revision 3's newest show, Film Right, is here to take you by the hand and walk you along and make sure you don't get hit by a Molotov cocktail. Now, what it is, takes you behind the scenes of every aspect of making film. Special effects, writing, shooting. The guys behind Film Riot have skits. They start with a skit, and they get hands-on, and they get technical, and it's just amazing. From actually this week, it's how you can make special effects yourself. The newest episode shows you how to make heads explode.
Oh boy.
It's actually really cathartic. Check it out. Film Riot comes out every Thursday at revision3.com/Film Riot.
Yes, and E3, of course, is the epicenter of all things video games, and it's happening this week. I'm actually there right now.
That's creepy.
Right now, yes. Co-op of the Totally Rad Show streamed live this week with coverage of all the announcements, previews of the newest games, and they talked to the people who make them. So head on over to revision3.com/E3 for all of Revision 3's coverage. And for all of you watching, we live on your questions. So email us, Tekzilla@revision3.com. Tech help, product reviews, how-tos. You ask us, we'll do it. But we need those emails first. So don't be shy, send them in to Tekzilla@revision3.com.
Even better, send us a video question. Think of all the fun you can have and the admiration of your friends and family when they see your shiny face on our shiny show. Keep it to 15 seconds, upload it to YouTube, and send us a link to that YouTube video with video question in the subject line. As always, you can join us in the forums at revision3.com/forum, share your thoughts, ideas, or comments with other fans of the show, and point out that we are in fact fallible and not techno gods. Sorry about that.
I don't know, I'm kind of godlike.
You're very godlike.
Oh, thank you, I'm blushing now. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Till next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. So, you're gonna cut the hair? Is that the rumor?
What do you think if I did like a
Buzz cut?
like a buzz cut?
Buzz cut?
Okay.
Buzz cut for charity.
No.
Buzz cut. Oh, emo cut with your
What
hair
does that
down
even
over your
mean?
face?
Like,
You can look like it.
Like a guy's
don't
emo
do
cut.
that.
I'm emo.
Overclock the Core i7 without melting your face while your cat just pissed on your notebook and more.
Bad.
Look, they look
they're
burly.
really cute.
They got like knurled aluminum and whoops. Sorry. You're wearing glitter today.
No, I'm not.
You got glitter. Your eyeshadow.
No, it's with my blush. It's shimmer.
She's shimmering.
Sorry, ladies. No, I don't want to say that in the bloopers.
Oh my God, Ryan's your beard.
Fix my hair. Fix my hair. God, I've got like a freaking mane. Look at this thing. It's so long. How did it get so long? Roger wants me to cut all my hair off.
It's because Roger's mean.
He said I look like a soccer mom.
Who said you look like a soccer mom?
The internet.
Punch him in the head.
Internet.